Studies show that up to 90% of our daily thoughts involve some level of comparison to others. That is not just a guess. It is backed by decades of research on social evaluation. Our brains are effectively wired to care what the tribe thinks because, for most of human history, being liked was a matter of survival. But when that caring becomes constant, it triggers a quiet kind of exhaustion. It leads to anxiety, a feeling of being hollowed out, and eventually, a total loss of identity. The problem isn't that you care. The problem is that you care too much, and it is likely holding you back from the very life you are trying to build. Here are 4 unmistakable signs that your concern for what other people think has become a heavy burden. Number 1 is that you second-guess every minor decision. Think about the last time you bought a shirt or even ordered dinner in a group. You did not just ask yourself what you liked. You ran a quick simulation in your head of how everyone else would react to your choice. If you spend 10 minutes editing a 2-sentence text message because you are worried about the tone, you are not being careful. You are being held hostage by an imaginary audience. This happens because your brain has stopped trusting your own taste. When you constantly look for external cues to decide what is good or right, your internal compass starts to rust. You are not choosing a life. You are performing a script that you think will keep everyone else happy. And that leads directly to the second sign. You feel completely exhausted after social interactions, even with people you actually like. We all know that introverts need a little recharge time, but this is different. This is a mental hangover that comes from impression management. If you spent the entire night scanning faces for signs of boredom, or making sure your jokes landed perfectly, or tailoring your stories to fit the room, you were not actually present. You were working. You were acting as your own PR agent for 3 hours straight. That level of hypervigilance is draining because it requires you to monitor 2 versions of yourself at the same time, the one that is talking and the one that is being watched. It is no wonder you want to hide in a dark room for 2 days after a simple dinner party. Number 3 is that you have become a chameleon who avoids expressing true opinions. You might find yourself nodding along when someone criticizes a movie you secretly loved, or you stay quiet when a conversation turns to a topic you feel strongly about. You tell yourself you are just being easygoing or avoiding drama. But there is a difference between being polite and being invisible. And you habitually hide your thoughts to avoid potential friction, you are effectively telling yourself that your perspective is a threat to your safety. Over time, this creates a strange feeling of loneliness. You realize that even when people say they like you, they are liking a filtered version of you. They are liking the person you pretended to be, which only makes you feel more isolated. And the final sign is that you seek constant reassurance for things you should already know. You find yourself asking your partner if they are mad at you, or checking with a coworker 3 times to see if an email was okay. You are looking for a green light from the outside world because you have lost the ability to give it to yourself. Psychologists call this social monitoring, and while everyone does it a little bit, doing it constantly means you are living in a state of emotional debt. You feel like you are always one wrong word away from losing everyone's approval. This creates a loop where you do something, feel anxious about it, ask for reassurance, feel better for 5 minutes, and then the cycle starts all over again. This all stems from what researchers call the social evaluating self. It is a part of our psychology that acts like a mirror, but the mirror is usually distorted. We often suffer from something called the spotlight effect. We think everyone is noticing our mistakes or our awkward silences with the same intensity that we are. But the reality is that most people are far too busy worrying about their own spotlight to pay much attention to yours. They are caught in the same loop you are. When you realize that everyone else is just as self-conscious as you, the weight of their judgment starts to feel a lot lighter. They are not judges in a courtroom. They are just other people trying not to look foolish. When you care too much, you eventually lose your sense of self. You become a collection of other people's expectations and preferences. You forget what you actually like, what you actually value, and who you are when nobody is watching. This constant performance creates a layer of anxiety that never truly goes away because you can never be sure if you are performing well enough. It is a game you can never win because the rules are always changing based on who you are standing next to. You are trying to hit a moving target that does not even exist. Breaking this cycle does not happen overnight. It starts with small, uncomfortable acts of authenticity. It means saying you liked the movie when everyone else hated it. It means sending the text without rereading it 4 times. It means allowing for a moment of silence without rushing to fill it with a joke you think they want to hear. These small moments are like exercises for your internal compass. Every time you act according to your own values instead of someone else's perceived judgment, you reclaim a piece of yourself. You start to realize that the world does not end when someone disagrees with you. In fact, people often respect you more when they can see where you actually stand. Freedom does not come from making everyone like you. That is impossible. True freedom comes from realizing that you do not actually need their approval to be okay. You have spent so much time trying to be the person everyone else wants that you have ignored the only person who is always there. The goal isn't to stop caring about people entirely. It is to make sure that the loudest voice in the room is your own. At the end of the day, you are the only person who has to live with your choices, and your own approval is the only one that truly matters when the lights go out.